What do TCU football, the Texas energy industry, and a movie set have in common? Hunter Enis. Hear the incredible stories behind his uniquely Texas journey and how he became a part of Texas Rhapsody.
So, Hunter, before we talk about football, TCU, or business, take us back to the beginning. When you picture the Fort Worth of your childhood, what do you see?
Well, we grew up on the east side, and had a clear view of downtown. The tallest building, or one of the tallest buildings, was the courthouse. So B.T. Wagner building was 17 stories, so it didn't have all the buildings that they have now. The roads were, single highway. We didn't have the freeways. There were a lot less people. Of course, I grew up during the Second World War, so we didn't have much gasoline or many cars, so we kind of stayed in the neighborhood where we were. So it's quite simple life.
Yeah. What do you remember doing in your neighborhood and growing up? What did you guys ran around? What did y'all...
Baseball and football.
So that was all there was.
We kind of lived out a little bit out in the country, and my brother and I threw rocks all day long. So we had accuracy contests and distance contests.
So now you're giving away the secret for future quarterbacks. That's the only way to start is by throwing rocks.
We both could throw pretty well.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. So you went on to go to Polytechnic High School, graduated in 1955. What was Poly like back in the day?
We had about 1,300 students, and it was kind of middle class, not like Arlington Heights or Pasco, but in 1953, we won the state baseball championship, and we won basketball in 52, at semifinals, and football in 55. So we had some pretty good classes during that time.
It sounds like a pretty good sized school for back then.
It was.
Many students.
It was like, would be like 6A is now. We were one of the bigger high schools.
Yeah.
So
wow. That's what did you do for any other entertainment? I mean, was there movies, theaters? Was there anything else you did?
Yeah, we had a movie theater close to us, and we would walk. And I remember when we were real young, it was my mother and daddy would give us a dime. It cost 9 cents to get in the movie, and we bought a penny piece of candy. And we'd stay and watch the movie twice, and the cereal, and then walk home.
Yeah. Wow. That's a different time, wasn't it? So in high school, you talked a little bit about the championships that the school obviously did really well. When did you realize you were going to play sports beyond high school?
Well, we got several scholarship offers, and I went to TCU to play baseball and football. Other schools just wanted to play football. I wanted to play both, so that's why I went to TCU.
Yeah. Wow, that's an honor, and it's a good opportunity. Obviously, a smaller program, but you had the ability to do multiple things, and I think that's that's interesting. So Fort Worth has changed quite a bit. What do you think people today would find most surprising about the Fort Worth that you grew up in?
Probably the size, the freeways, and downtown, and especially North Side, which is the tourist attraction of Fort Worth. So mainly be the size and the freeway, and we're getting a little traffic problem, not like Dallas,
right?
But we have quite a few people, and it's growing, of course, to the north and especially to the west.
Right. Do you still feel like it has a little bit of a personal...
Very much so. It's very different from Dallas or Houston, more hometown. They call it Cowtown, and it's still pretty much informal town.
Yeah. So, and you've been here a long time, so that's a testament that you haven't moved away. So that's a good thing. What are some of the other things that you feel are unique to Fort Worth that that you'll always remember?
Well, I think mainly the size, it wasn't too large, and the friendliness of the people and the many opportunities that we have here. When I was growing up, all the major oil companies had an office here. Texaco, Sinclair, Gulf. It was Exxon now, or Exxon. So it was pretty unique.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of good restaurants and several barbecue places, and good barbecue places. So yeah, it was.
Oh, that's great. That's food always seems to be the things that are centered around memories and towns and family and things like that. So
yes,
that's always neat. So let's talk a little bit about TCU and becoming a quarterback. So you earned your bachelor's and master's degrees in geology at TCU. Again, you talked a little bit about baseball and football, so you lettered in both sports, and then you were later inducted into the TCU Letterman's Hall of Fame. So, what you said, you wanted to play both sports, but what did it feel like in the 50s? TCU, the campus. Again, we keep talking about the traffic and the smaller.
It was a lot smaller then, and
Yeah.
if you go out on the campus, all the pretty live oak trees were planted. And around 1955, there weren't any trees.
Wow.
It was kind of
Yeah.
barren. So it's a lot different. And it was smaller, probably around 4,000 students. And of course, the cost was a lot less then.
Right.
But, and I majored in geology because I didn't want to be a coach or major in PE. So I wound up coaching, playing for 13 years. So I got off track somewhere along
Yeah.
the line.
So the thing you
Finally
wanted to
came back. I started in the oil business when I was 40. So.
So the thing you wanted to get away from, you ended up doing for a little while.
For a long time.
Yeah. So what was the greatest influence on you at TCU?
Probably friends that you make, acquaintances that you make. The education that you get was small, so we had the relationship with the professors, and I think Boschini still tries to have that when he was the chancellor, and Daniel will move in the same direction too. But it was smaller then, so it was a little less, more informal.
Yeah. What was it like being in college in your hometown? Were you able to go home? Were you able to?
No, I stayed in the dormitory most of the time, and so it was just like being away from.
Yeah.
Didn't go home very much.
You enjoy the full experience of being in college.
But I could go home and it wasn't but a 20-minute drive.
Yeah,
That made it good too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how did you do it? You hear today athletes that are they're in college. It's a full-time thing. How did you balance the sports, especially with two sports?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was different back then, but you also had an academic and 2 degrees. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, the sports were different now. Like if you play football or baseball or basketball, it's year-round training. Back then, they encouraged play two sports if you wanted to. And we would have spring training early in February so you could play baseball, run track, whatever. So it was a lot different then. One year around training for sports.
Right. And I know you're very close to the TCU athletic program, and you obviously have done a lot for the university. What are some of the things that you think about when you go back to the stadium compared to what it's like back then? I mean, it's a much different atmosphere now.
Well, now the money's involved in it, the NIL, which I'm not too fond of, but anyway, that's changed a lot. So, loyalty has changed some, but it's still, the college game is still good, and I hope we can keep it that way.
Right. Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about playing in the NFL, or actually it was the AFL when you played. What was that like? And you played and we've had conversations about playing in all parts of the country. That was probably a really neat experience.
Yes, it was. And we didn't have a lot of fans at that time. So both leagues were going. So we had just started and had some unique experiences playing in towns where the stadium wasn't very large or weren't many people. You could go up before the game and meet all the fans if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting. And we had a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players.
Right.
Interesting experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned that you actually played with some of the folks that were coaches, longtime NFL coaches, even in the NFL later. So you had some good relationships and some good friends over the years that you.
Yeah, a lot of good friends and a lot of great coaches. And the only thing I had some great coaches in the pros. The only flaw they had, they couldn't recognize talent. I kept getting cut. So
yeah. So what was it like? I know. I think your kids were born maybe on the road.
Yeah,
coach.
Yeah, James was born in Denver. Jill was born here, but James was born in Denver.
Yeah.
We lived in Dallas, San Diego, Buffalo, New York, all around.
Right.
So it was interesting.
So that in itself was a whole nother story.
Good experience.
Yeah. That's a whole nother movie that we can talk about. So again, we talked a little bit about geology and you wanted to do something else, but did you ever think you'd be working in the oil and gas field?
No.
No.
Well, I majored in geology, so I thought about that, but I got off track for a while. But as I mentioned earlier, I went back after I quit coaching and starting all business when I was 40. So we've had some success, been pretty good.
Right, right. No, it's very obvious in the movie, some of the interesting stories and some of the things that y'all did. So that was really neat. So when did you've obviously we talked a little bit about TCU and you obviously have invested in education and research and some of the things that you've given back. When did you realize that, from your success that you wanted to give back to your
Well, that's payback because I got my education from scholarship in sports, so wanted to pay back. We did a lot for athletic department, and I have a chair in geology, TCU, and a scholarship in Shirley's name, my wife's name, and so I thought it was payback time.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do and a great thing to be able to do. So that's wonderful. So tell me, let's talk a little bit about Texas Rhapsody. So again, it talks about the oil fields, West Texas, immigration work, resilience, and music. So it's got a lot going on in the movie. So how did you first become involved with Texas Rhapsody?
Well, through Sam Feaster. Now, Sam is very unique. He's a little smarter than the average bear, and that helps him. He's done a lot of things, written several books, made 3 movies. I met Sam in, I guess, 1979. We became friends. He was Clayton Williams' exploration manager.
Right.
And we've done a lot of things together, traveled together. He and Rebecca and my wife and I, we've been friends for a long time. And so Sam called me one day and said, making another movie, I want you to be in it. I said, I don't want to be in the movie. He said, well, we're going to film it, and there are a lot of interesting people come out here, and it's fun, and you can watch it. And I said, well, I may do that. Where are you going to do it? He said, Big Spring. I said, well, we're drilling in Big Spring.
Yeah.
We've got 20 wells out there. We now have 27. But so I went out there and then became part of the movie, and it was a good experience, and I have great respect now for actors because they work hard.
Right.
I found out.
Yeah.
And the movie is, what's good about the movie, it's a true story. And all the actors are amateurs. And 3 days before they started shooting, the director quit. So they got this young guy, Taylor Stanley, to make it, and he was great. And I've heard him say many times, well, let's do that one more time.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was a good experience.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And Sam, one of his friends said that when I was out there, and it's true, he said, Sam gets people together and gets them to do what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
To do things with Sam, it's always a success and always a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good. Good. Was there anything about the movie that maybe, resonated with you as far as, a part of your life other than maybe your part in the movie? Was there anything else about Texas maybe or anything that
Well, yeah, West Texas is a great place, and it takes place out there mostly. And being the true story, how Sam met Sergio, the musician, and how he met Harvey, Nicaraguan. So the whole thing, the way it came together, is just unbelievable.
Yes, I agree. Kind of neat that James, your son, was actually in the movie.
And James was real good. He was good in the movie. Did a good job.
Yes, he did a great job. So, well, good. So I'm just going back a little bit. So you've been obviously a Fort Worth kid, TCU quarterback, professional athlete, a geologist, an energy executive, a philanthropist, and now a participant in a motion picture. So when you look at all those things, what's the most, or what feels the most important to you in your life?
Well, of course, family and friends. All the rest of it's just collateral benefit.
not collateral damage, right? No.
Yes, collateral benefit.
Yeah.
Family and the friends that you make doing all the things you do are the most important thing.
Right.
And I made a lot of friends, and I love my family. So
wonderful.
Everything's good.
Wonderful. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. And is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, but I want to say that Sam Feaster is very unique, did a great job. He does all these good things, and this all happened because of him.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again.